Mentoring session was Kyla.
Hi everyone, I'm Kyla and I go to Bronx Science. I'm a senior and I'm 17 years old. Like most other seniors right now, I've got quite a bit going on. So if I had to give you a breakdown of everything that I have on my plate, I'd say that I got quite a few extracurriculars plus some APs and advanced courses. And at the same time, I'm also applying to college simultaneously. So I've definitely got a lot on my plate. And although it's been pretty difficult, I have learned quite a bit about what it's like to manage everything at the same time, on top of the 3 years that I've already spent at Bronx Science. So I'm glad to share some of that with you. I think some of this advice is pretty cliche, and it's definitely advice that you're going to hear over and over again if you're ever asking any sort of underclassmen for tips on keeping everything balanced. But I think that it's important to reiterate this sort of stuff because it really is the truth. It's cliche and repeated over and over again for a reason, and that's because it works. So here are some tips on getting through everything that you probably also have on your plate right now. I think probably the first and biggest thing that I would say is making sure that you're giving yourself rest days, self-care, and mental health days. I think that that's probably the most important. It goes for when you're physically working out or when you're using mental energy. You can't work out 7 days a week without taking a break and see any sort of progress. The same thing goes for your mental health, and those two things should be treated exactly the same. If you're overwhelmed, if you're constantly scrambling for deadlines, if you're doing everything and staying up all night, you're gonna have no energy the next day. No matter how much you study, the grade that you get on the test that you're studying for is probably gonna be negatively impacted by the lack of sleep. You really do need to cut yourself some slack, because if you don't cut yourself some slack, you're just gonna be you're gonna be right at the threshold about to fall at any point, and it's just not healthy. I also find myself putting off self-care sometimes, and the ways that I've found myself managing self-care is to do it sometimes not I'll do it on the train instead of coming home and taking an hour to do self-care, because that stresses me out, taking really long breaks between when I need to be working. But I don't think passing up self-care is a good idea. So sometimes on the train I'll sleep, I'll journal. When I get home, maybe I'll take a shower, or at night before I go to bed, I'll meditate, do some self-care then. It doesn't have to be 2 or 3 hours a night of self-care. And the second biggest tip that I have is to not let yourself be intimidated or affected by what other kids at Bronx Science, at any specialized schools, or at any school in general are doing, because it will really negatively impact your mental health. This is just I think that everyone at our school, but also everyone elsewhere, there's so many capable individuals. Where you go, first of all, doesn't define you in the slightest, but to be good at one subject, to get a good grade on one test, doesn't define your intelligence in the slightest. And I honestly, again, this is honest, this is very honest, I think a lot of students in general, but specifically at Bronx Science, since I know a lot of you are from Bronx Science, lack emotional intelligence. And I think we tend to capitalize so much so on academic intelligence over emotional intelligence that it gets lost. But it's important to know how to treat other people, and one subject doesn't make or break who you are as a person or your capabilities, even though sometimes it feels that way, especially with the environment that we have at our school. So don't let yourself get intimidated by what other people are doing. Stick to yourself, do what you find interesting, do what you think suits you best, and everyone else can get thrown out the window. Not literally, metaphorically, because what they're doing should not affect you in the slightest. I don't know how often you've heard this, but I think the third biggest tip is to stick up for yourself. It seems slightly disconnected from everything that I'm talking about before, but I think it will make more sense once I explain what I'm talking about. The teachers in general, specifically teachers at Bronx Science though, are very overwhelmed. It seems like juggling a whole bunch of different things. And it is okay to go up to your teacher and remind them of something. It's okay to email them repetitively. Not, don't be naggy, but it's okay to send an email and then send a follow-up. That's totally fine. I don't think you should send 7, but it's okay to go to administration if you don't like something that's going on. It's okay to ask for extensions. And it's okay to say, I am turning this in late. because of XYZ reason, I would like an extension, and then not wait for a reply and turn it in late, because honestly, your mental health comes first. To me, all of these things kind of fall into standing up for yourself, and I think that that is very important, because you need to put, if you're really prioritizing your grades and you're really prioritizing succeeding, especially at a school like Bronx Science or no matter where you go, you need to be able to advocate for your interests and to advocate for what suits you best. And if you know that doing a project at 11 p.m. the night before it's due isn't going to give a good result and you're going to get a bad grade anyways, then ask for an extension, ask to do it later, and your teachers will be understanding. And if not, then if you feel like your grade is going to benefit from you turning it in a few minutes after the deadline, then I think that that's totally okay. Really, truly, like, the biggest thing that I have learned from my time here is that it is so important to be unafraid to advocate for yourself, because you can't rely on other people to do it for you. And there's plenty of kind, amazing, wonderful, nice individuals at the school that I surround myself with, and that you should surround yourself with as well. The kind people who will stick up for you and who are selfless and who understand your interests and all of that. But there are people who are not kind and who will not stick up for you and who will put their own interests first. And I feel like it's important that you are unafraid to do what suits you best. Yeah, I truly feel like that's probably the biggest thing that I've learned from my time here. Okay, sorry, I was frozen. Those are the three, I think big those are the three big categories of tips that I have. Now I can give some more specific, some more personal anecdotes, maybe make you guys feel a little bit more. And in terms of mental health, I have generalized anxiety disorder, and if I'm having a panic attack, if I'm anxious, anything along those lines, I cannot do work. I can't function if I'm feeling really anxious, because I just don't want to put myself through that. So I'll just take a break, and sometimes that's meant putting off assignments, putting off tests if I just really don't feel like I can take them. It happens, and I'm here fine in terms of my grades, everything is totally okay, and I could make things up, and it hasn't set me back at all. So there you go. And it's definitely hard not to freak out after you get a 65 on your math test, but it happens and you live through it, and it is okay, and it's one test grade, and it does not change who I am as a person. It does not change my capabilities. It does not change yours in the slightest, and there's ways to make it up, to drop that grade, to fix it, to go to SGI, do better on homework. It happens, and you cannot beat yourself up for it, and it does not make me any less intelligent. It does not make me any less capable. That's just not how it works. Take the advice that you would give to someone else if that happened to them. But yeah, whether or not you go to Bronx Science, high school is definitely a ride. It is a very large developmental period of growth, period of figuring out who you are, kind of, to some degree. I have not peaked in high school, guys, don't worry, but still, I've learned a lot about myself, a lot about the kind of people that I value, what qualities I value in other people. I've definitely learned a lot of that from my time in high school. So honestly, just take it as it comes and do what's best for you, and I promise you everything will be okay no matter what. Even if you graduate with a 65 average, you're gonna graduate and it's gonna be okay. And in 3-4 years, you're not gonna, you're not gonna think about it. Everything will be okay either way, no matter what. And if you're watching this, you're smart and you're capable and you care, so props to you, and I'm excited to see, whoever you are, what you do in the future.